Hello everyone and welcome. This is Sans World with Sound Design episode 16. Today we are going to be creating one of those mainstream breakdown synths that you hear a lot in those new electro house and progressive house tracks like Martin Garrix's Animals and so forth. But today we are going to be focusing specifically on the Hardwell and Makj breakdown synth from CountDown. So our end product is going to look like this. Okay guys, so if you enjoyed the lead, you think it's a great recreation, then make sure to stick around. If not, you can always check my other tutorials out on YouTube. Make sure to follow me on Facebook. I post most of my tutorials on there. Okay, so let's get started. So ever since the dawn of the hardstyle kick, this lead actually has been around for a while, but ever since the hardstyle kick started coming in, a lot of progressive house and electro house have been using these synths to play chords out. And technically these chords are generally fast, but they play like a really nice melody and it's all layered. So most of the synths you're going to hear in those breakdowns are going to be introduced. The melody is going to be introduced by a pluck, like the one I created in my previous video. And then there's going to be a break, and then all of a sudden you're going to hear this huge saw lead come in. And that's what we're going to be creating today. So most of those synths you hear in the breakdowns, when you know it's a saw, usually they're made like this. Okay, so we are going to be using 3 oscillators for this. The oscillators we're going to be using are going to be the square and saw 2 from the basic section in massive, square saw 1 from the basic section in massive, and square saw 1 from the basic section in massive. Okay, so that's what all 3 oscillators are going to look like. Now we're going to get straight into it. So first oscillator, we want to pitch it up to 12.10. The reason there's that 0.10 is because it opens up the synth a little bit more. It's not like having it set exactly at 12, so it kind of has a little detuned feeling to it, and it sounds a bit bigger. The wavetable position is going to be all the way up, a little bit back, the intensity all the way up. The amp is going to be set around 2 o'clock, and we're going to apply an envelope to that later, and I'll explain to you guys what that is later. That's the blue thing you see here. We're going to route that to filter 1. Then we got oscillator 2, square and saw 1, basic. We're going to put that at 0.03, same reason we put oscillator 1 at 12.10. Now here we have the wavetable position, so we're going to have a square in the saw 1, and on the wavetable position we're going to have it all the way up, and we're going to apply another full later, and I'll explain again what that is, so don't worry about that green thing. Intensity up, amp at 3, routed to 1. Now for oscillator 3, we're going to do negative 0.03, same reason that we did it up here. We just want to kind of separate them a little, so it's going to make the sound a little bit more bigger. Wavetable position at around 3 o'clock, intensity all the way up, and amp around 2 o'clock as well, and we're going to apply an envelope to that as well. And you're not going to route that all the way to 1. You're going to set it in the middle, which is going to be kind of routed to 1, but it's not going to fully affect the whole sound. Okay, then we go into our modulation oscillator. Here we're going to turn it on. We're going to put the pitch to 12.32. You want to click on this 3 first, the ring mod. We're going to set the RM to 2 o'clock. Then we're going to go into our noising section. Now, I always tell people whenever you're creating sounds, if you're ever going to be making like a big saw wave or something big, huge, that when you apply that reverb, you want it to sound huge, always apply some noise. My favorite personal noise to apply is the bright noise, because it doesn't tend to sound like noise. It doesn't tend to take up those low frequencies, especially when you put the color up. What's going to happen is the noise being released from massive is going to be at the higher frequencies, so it's not going to cover most of your range, and it's going to sound really crisp and nice. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to be applying some bright noise all the way up for color. Amp's going to be set at 11. All amp controls is the volume, and we're going to leave that in the middle, so it's not going to be fully affected by the filter 1. Next, you want to go into insert 1, where you're going to be applying a clip, a hard clipper effect. You want to set the dry to around 11, and you want to set the drive at around 10. Okay, once we have that, we might be applying some macros later. If not, you can always download the preset if we don't. Now here we go into filter 1, which is going to be a simple low pass 2 filter. Now pretty much what a low pass 2 filter does is it takes away the highs first, and then it takes away the lows. So in other words, you'll hear the lows go out before the highs. So here you hear the sound playing. Okay, so here we have the cutoff is going to be set at around 8, a little bit before the end. And you want to leave it there because we're going to be applying some envelopes to this, and as well as some macro. And then low pass through the resonance, you want to leave it down. Okay, once we have that, let's go into our voicing section. Voicing is going to be set at 4. And then we have the pitch cutoff all the way to the left. We're going to have this set in polyphon, which pretty much means you can play more than one note. If I were to set this in monophon, then you would only be able to play one note at a time. So generally you use monophon for bass lines, but since this is a big, huge lead and you're playing chords, you want to keep this at polyphon. Pan position is going to be set to mono. Again, with this whole new immersion of the hardstyle kicks, everything's mainly being set to mono and nothing's really being panned or anything. There's not that much stereo dynamic going on, just for the sake of the purpose of just having it straight in your face. So when you have something at mono, it's straight in the middle of the stereo field and it's hitting you straight. That's why technically hardstyle kicks, you tend to hear them like in the middle of the mix. And generally that's the way you want it to be. But ever since, we have these huge leads, usually you have pads being like pretty much, those are the ones with the wide as hell. And then you have these like fucking leads just straight up in the middle going hard at you. And I guess that's the whole purpose of it, which can be a little bit debatable. But I mean, if you choose to, you can always set this to full or to full inverted. For the sake of the sound, it's going to be set to mono since it's going to be loud and there's not much going to be going on with this lead playing. Okay, so there we have all of this. We have the trigger on as always. Routing, there's not much going on here, and we are pretty much set with this. So let's go into the envelope. Number 4 envelope is going to be set straight to your amp, and again, it controls the volume, how much comes out, and so forth. You can see the 4 here set. Now, all the amp's really going to do is just where the sound comes out of. Technically, this is where you start, shaping your sound with properties. Like a plug has a really high attack, low decay, so forth. For this one, we want the synth just to come out straight out. Like again, it's going to be in your face. It's not going to be coming out slowly. It's like straight full volume, full blast as soon as you play the note. So the attack's going to be all the way up with the level all the way up, decay all the way up, level all the way up. And then there's going to be some release, but not that much. You want to set the release to 9 o'clock. And then we're going to play in a macro to that later. Okay, now we need to go into envelope 1 since we're going to be routing these to our amps for oscillator 1 and 3. Remember, amps just the volume of it. So here what we're going to be doing is just applying a bit of envelope to it. So when you click that sound, there's a little bit of movement, but not that much. Okay, so attack all the way down, but we want to lower the level to around probably 2 o'clock. Make it, 2 o'clock. Decay down like around 8 and level set to around 10. And then your release set to 9 o'clock. Now what you're going to do is you're going to drag this into oscillators 1 amp here. You see these little boxes down here, that's where these go. And then you're going to click it, hold it, and move up the mouse. And you're going to do just a little bit. Really subtle. And we should get something like that. Now envelope 1 again, put it here, and you do the same thing. So pretty much that's just going to be controlling the amp knob. So pretty much it's like a knob turner. So pretty much what's going on is your attack's deciding how fast that knob is going to be turned. Your decay is deciding how fast it's going to go down, and your release is going to determine how fast it goes back to the value which it started from. Okay. So once we have that, we're going to go into LFO5, which is going to be really simple. And we are going to be setting this to the wavetail position of oscillator 2. And what this is going to be doing is just kind of changing the square and saw. The saw adding a little bit of square now and then. So, I mean, it's not going at that fast of a rate. It's just something really minimal you could do. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to click on this icon here. And you want to set it to the point where you can't see those 2 lines. So you want to set it when it's looking like this. Now, so what's going to happen is the LFO is going to work from here to here. That's pretty much it. Now we're going to keep the rate at the dead center at 12 with the restart on. Now you're going to drag this again here, and then you're going to hold it and pull back down. And you want to like around there. Okay, once you have that, we're pretty much almost done with the sound. Pretty much all that's going to be missing is going to be some EQing, some effects. Now you don't technically need to use the EQ from Massive. The reason I always put the EQ on my presets is because I kind of want them to be able to be used straight out of the box. But again, like always, sometimes you're going to have other sounds conflicting with your sound, so you can always turn it off and EQ it on your own. Okay. So here we have reverb. Now the reverb, I don't really think I need to explain what reverb is. So we're going to be setting the dry and wet to around 9 o'clock, a little bit before 9. the size at around 11:30, density at 2, color at around 2 o'clock as well. Okay, sorry about that. Then we're gonna go into delay synced. Pretty much delay synced is a delay that you get to choose pretty much manually how the delay is gonna work towards any panning side, like left or right. Okay, so here we go in dry and wet. It's gonna be set at around 9 o'clock. Our damp is gonna be set at around 2 o'clock. Our feedback at 2. Now here you go. You're gonna put for left 4/16 and for right 4/16. So what that's gonna do, it's gonna be a delay. It's not gonna be a type of ping pong delay. It's gonna be more of a delay that you hear at the same time in both your sides of your headphones. Now we're going to the EQ section. We have the low shelf set at 1, the boost set at 2 o'clock, frequency at 2, and the high shelf at 2. Pretty much what the low shelf is gonna be like. I'm sure many of you have seen the Ableton EQ. Well, the low shelf kind of increases the low end and it just increases it up. The high shelf is going to increase the high end of it. And pretty much the way it would look is if we had the EQ8 here, it's pretty much, I turn my 8 on and pretty much the high shelf is going to work like, oops, not that one. High shelf, where you at? This is going to be a high shelf. So you're pretty much doing this to your sound in massive. So that's pretty much what the EQs are doing there. And then with the frequency, you get to decide where it's happening for the high shelf. Okay, so once we have all that, we should be getting this sound. Well, technically you're not gonna, sorry about that. We need to add the macro, so really fast. For macro 1 here, I want you to delete it where it's originally set, which I believe is gonna be in vibrato or something like that. And I want you to take it off from there. It's going to be around here. And then we're going to drag this knob to here. Pretty much all you're going to do is you're going to hold it and click it up. So you're going to hold, click it, and all the way up. And what that's going to do is when you move this knob all the way to the right, it's going to be open. If you move this knob all the way down, it's going to close. So the more you get it. And now for our number 2. It's going to be on the release, so it's going to be set into your envelope 4. Now what you're going to do is you're going to drag it here, and again you're going to click and pull it up, and you kind of want to set it to 2 o'clock. Now your release, again, like I said, it's going to decide how long the sound sticks around before it goes back to 0. So if you have a high release, you're going to have a lot of releases going, like a lot of reverb adding up over time. No release. So you can see how it works. Next, we're going to be adding a hard clipper, so this is where you can add this neat effect. Just going to make it louder, kind of a little bit of drive. So what we're going to do again, you just drag this into here, you pull it up a little, and then you drag it again into the drive, and you pull it up a little. Now you can get to decide how much you put on. It's all up to you guys. But again, this is the way I have it. It's not the right way. It's just the personal way I like it. And finally, we're just gonna apply it to the reverb. So we're gonna get this here, the 4. You're gonna name it reverb if you want, or name it whatever the hell you want. Nancy, Drew, big sound. I don't know. And drag it to 4. Drag these both to 4. So the 4 is being dragged into dry and wet, and the size. So your size is going to be set around 12, right? So you're going to click on both of these and you're going to lift it up. And you kind of want your macro to be set wherever you want. But personally, I set it like around 12 because if I have all the knob all the way up, my reverb's not going to be at full blast. And then for the size, again, you can increase it as much as you want, but you click it, hold it, pull it up, and you set it around 1 o'clock if you desire. You can even set it at more. But all the size is doing is just emulating how big the room is going to be. So there's an algorithm working when you apply the reverb on, and that's going to decide like how the sound is altered. So the size usually just emulates the room. So once we have all that, you should be getting the desired results. My cutoff is set at around here, at around 3 o'clock. My release is set like around 10. Clip is all the way down, but you can put it up if you desire. Reverb all the way down right now, but of course I'm going to have it up like around 9. And after all that, then you should be getting this sound. Alright, so now that that's over, if you guys still didn't get the desired results, maybe because you didn't get it some things exactly right like I stated, then you can always just download the preset. Hopefully you watch through this whole video so you know what every little step does for the sound. and hopefully you guys learn. So again, you can find this preset on my Facebook page. All you have to do is like my page and you can download it, and we'll be set. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial, and I forgot to mention that once you download my preset, you'll be getting the MIDI file for Hardwell's CountDown as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and I'll see you guys next time.